Welcome back to Daily Portion of German. This is the third series in a number of presentations, which are to refresh your memory of German and enable you to develop further reading skills. And this is a grammar section, which is really talking about the topic of today's discussion is English a Germanic language? So it's very interesting to see where German lies in the whole Indo-European family of languages. As you know, these are the main. If you can see my marker, Irene, can you see a marker here when I put here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Irene is with us today, and so you have Albanian, Slavic, Celtic, Armenian, major language families within the Indo-European system, Germanic, Latin, Greek, Iranian, and Indic or Sanskrit. And so Germanic, as you can see here, well, English is right here, and this is really, English is technically a Germanic language. So the further you go back in the history of the English language, the more and more it approximates German. So if you go to Chaucer, for example, 12th century, we can read that sort of Middle English, but if you go to Old High English, of Beowulf of maybe 9th, 10th, 11th centuries, that is really almost difficult, very difficult for English readers to understand, but people who speak German can actually read that more easily than we can. So the further you go back in the history of the language, the more and more it becomes like German. But over the centuries, of course, more and more layers of Latin through French primarily and through the other Romance languages influenced English, so that now English has 65% of its words from the Latin side and 35% of its words from the German side. So it's really a hybrid language of these two major streams. But we'll see, so that means 35% of the words, so every third word that you encounter in any German text is something that has a relationship to English. And so those of you who are interested in etymology, it's very interesting to consider that and look at that. So I'm just going to pick up another little chart here that has a little bit more detail about the relationship of the languages. Let's see if I can open this up a bit. So here you have a much more detailed description of these language families, again, the Indo-European family, with Indic, Anatolian, Iranian as the major families, Italic with the Latin, Celtic. But here's the Germanic. So when you're learning German, you really have access. I mean, German is a foundational language, major language family in the Indo-European system. And so when you learn German, you're actually getting a key or insight into all of these languages. Here, it's like learning Latin. You get a key. You really have an advantage in learning any of the Romance languages. So you have the North Germanic, from which English is well, it's part of the West Germanic, sorry. So the Scandinavian languages like Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, are all coming from the North Germanic branch. From the West Germanic branch, you have English. You see here Old English, Middle English, English, if you can read that, Old Frisian, Old Dutch. So Dutch, and English and Frisian all come from this West Germanic branch. And here's some other ones like Low German, etc. So there's really it's amazing. It's very important to learn German because you're doing archaeology with the English language. You're learning uh, roots and concepts that have come from the German side and influenced the English language. So let's see, I'm going to also bring here a little in chapter 2. Well, in chapter 1, um, let's see if we can, here are some words that are cognates. Let's read some of these. And maybe we can figure out what they mean. Just if you all want to repeat with Irene together, so I'll just read some words and you repeat them. Der Film, das Foto.
Der Film, das Foto.
Gut. Der Film, das Foto, die Garage,
Die Garage.
die Geografie,
Die Geographie.
die Geometrie,
Die Geometrie.
der Kindergarten,
Der Kindergarten.
die Klarinette.
Die Klarinette.
Are these words that you know?
Yes.
What does der Kompromiss mean?
The Compromise.
How about das Labyrinth?
The Labyrinth.
How about die Linguistik?
Linguistics.
Und die Biologie?
Biology.
Der Kilometer.
The kilometer.
Yeah, okay. So it's very straightforward. These are obviously cognates, words that have exactly the same meaning in English as they do in German, which you can find all over the place. Now let's go to a little text here, and I just want to bring this text up. This is in chapter 2 of the book that we use for the full course about Johann Sebastian Bach, his music, and his family. And I just want to see how many words you recognize, you who are the listeners and sort of thinking along with Irene, how many words that you can recognize. Let's read some together first. If you want to repeat after me, here we go. Johann Sebastian Bach ist besonders bekannt für seine Fugen und Kantaten. Everybody?
Johann Sebastian Bach ist besonders bekannt für seine Fugen und Kantaten.
Der Musiker und Komponist wurde 1685 in Eisenach in Thüringen geboren.
Der Musiker und Komponist wurde 1685 in Eisenach in Thüringen geboren.
Good. So here, obviously, you know this person, this gentleman here. Um, what word does this make you think of? Anybody?
Four.
Four. How about Fugen,
Fugues.
Fugues, and Kantaten?
Cantatas.
How about ist?
Is.
Yes. Here's where we haven't seen besonders, especially bekannt, known. How about this? Der Musiker,
The musician.
der Komponist,
Composer.
geboren,
Born.
born. So even if in a simple sentence like this, almost half the words you can recognize as related to English, which is a great help when you're learning German for the first time. And probably this is familiar to you. Let's read some more. And we'll just go down to this first paragraph here for this today's daily portion. Sein Vater Ambrosius Bach war Hofmusiker. Sorry, let's do that again. Sein Vater Ambrosius Bach war Hofmusiker.
Sein Vater Ambrosius Bach war Hofmusiker.
Yeah, and he was fed on very divine food here, Ambrosius. So this means the court. What would this mean? Court.
Court musician.
Good. Ambrosius Bach und seine Frau Elisabeth, everybody,
Ambrosius Bach und seine Frau Elisabeth
hatten eine große Familie.
hatten eine große Familie.
What tense is this?
It's the past tense.
Yeah, past tense, and it's just a pluperfect. Had a large family. Große, we wouldn't know, but here's eine, and Familie, you know this. And then the last one, Johann war das achte Kind.
Johann war das achte Kind.
So what does this mean, do you think? Anybody?
Child.
Child, and achte, very close to our English word.
Eighth.
Eight. Yeah, the eighth child. Good. Okay, let's see. Here's a sort of interesting sentence just to conclude our daily portion. And if you all get an education like this, you will be very fortunate. Let's just read the sentence starting with Johann Sebastian. Johann Sebastian besucht 5 Jahre die Lateinschule. Everybody?
Johann Sebastian besucht 5 Jahre die Lateinschule
Und lernt alte Sprachen, Logik, Mathematik, Rhetorik,
und lernt alte Sprachen, Logik, Mathematik, Rhetorik,
Theologie und Musik.
Theologie und Musik.
So what do you think of that for a curriculum? So let's see. So this means besuchen means to visit. We'll just translate the sentence together and then we'll stop here. This means to visit or to attend. 5 Jahre, you can probably figure that out. 5 years. This is the Latin school. He was learning Latin there. And he's learning Alte, which means ancient languages. And what else is he learning? Can you figure this one out, everybody?
Logic.
How about this one?
Mathematics.
How about this?
Rhetoric.
How about this?
Theology.
And
music.
okay, so that's a great curriculum. I mean, if you had your children, or if you had this education yourself, or or if you were to organize a school and have all these things that people are learning, just think how students would benefit from that. Okay, let's see. Why don't you just translate just that sentence there again? Let's go through this. Since we've gone through these sentences and you've identified words that are very similar to English, just translate this paragraph and then we'll go down and translate this one. So you want to go ahead, Johann Sebastian?
Johann Sebastian Bach is especially well known for his fugues and cantatas.
Mm,
The musician and composer was born in 1685 in Eisenach in Thuringen. His father, Ambrosius Bach, was a court musician. Ambrosius Bach and his wife Elizabeth had a large family. Johann was the eighth child.
marvelous. Okay, really nicely done. And then start from here. Johann, sorry for all the marks. Johann Sebastian.
Johann Sebastian.
Sorry, and this is the historical present tense. So instead of talking about something in the past, you use the present. So Johann Sebastian visits or attends, etc. Go ahead.
Johann Sebastian attends the Latin school for 5 years and learns ancient languages, logic, mathematics, rhetoric, theology, and music.
Great. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you come back for another exposure and experience with the German language. See you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.